Yeah, so before every year, I take the competitive calendar and I write down all the swim meets, dive meets, and I kind of see like if I'm starting week one, the week that everyone gets back, what is it going to look like for each of these 4 week cycles with a 1 week deload? Sometimes it lines up to where they're rested, but because we are really trying to compete at a high level, we don't rest for a lot of meets. We'll have a dual meet at home, and the team will come in, will practice. If it's a 2 o'clock meet, the team will practice in the morning, lift in the morning, and then treat the meet as a second practice. Which is, it's incredible that they even do that. And then when we get to bigger meets, it's a conversation that I have with coaches. We have a mid-season meet, which is kind of like a trial run for our conference championships, SECs. So that's usually in November. And the mid-season meet, sometimes we'll try to taper down for it, but it really also depends on the athlete, right? So I'll talk with the coach and he'll say, these people kind of need to cut back. These people just, let's keep training, which, once it's communicated from the coach to me to the athlete, then they understand like, okay, well, this is the plan, we're going to follow it. And I think part of having part of the athlete trusting us is seeing that we've been successful with athletes before, and reassuring the athlete that like, this is what we think is best for you, but at the same time, opening up the conversation. Like, if you don't feel like this is best for you, like, tell me what you feel like you need, and we'll kind of like meet in the middle.
Yeah. In terms of like the way you've just described the day before, like the day of the meet, what's your take on like neuro prep before events?
Prep in terms of like
Like,
lifting same day,
yeah,
or
yeah,
yeah, I mean, we get after it. Yeah, I mean, so for swimming, we'll have like our 2 kind of like strength power days where it's a little bit more barbell focused, dumbbell accessory work. And then Fridays we'll do more plyometrics and some turf sprints and kind of like a dumbbell upper body circuit. And I feel like that day they'd probably get the most freedom to choose the exercises, right? If I'm saying pick a dumbbell pressing movement, I mean, I can think, off the top of my head, like 15 different exercises. They don't start off there, but by the time we do get to those competition weeks, they've been exposed to multiple different pressing variations, and I let them choose. So I think obviously maybe not going as heavy as you would if we didn't have a meet, but still getting in full volume of work.
yeah. See, I've been tinkering with the idea of fast explosive movements right before a meet or a competition. And I've got a couple sprinters that I do that with. They all claim to feel a lot better and like more explosive and more out of the gate for it. And I still need to do a lot more reading on it. But like I love that, like that's how they feel in general, like coming off the blocks or coming off like just competing. And for me it's like it's that constant pursuit of learning, and like this is something that's relatively new to a lot of programs, and it's like that fear of am I making them more tired for the competition? How do you sort of justify that aspect to your athletes?
I didn't have
Just
to do a whole lot, to be honest, because I came in and the team knew, like, okay, well, we lift on the day of meets if we're at home. So it's kind of like they know what to expect. And if you look at the, sophomores, juniors, seniors who've now done it, the freshmen, they're always the most timid on those days. Like, wow, you're actually lifting like normal weights. Like, yeah, like weights that you would lift if you didn't have a meet. So I think it's just like the mindset that the swimmers have. So I feel kind of spoiled in that sense, where other coaches might have to fight a little bit more to get the athletes to put the work in. But when you're really truly going to taper for 3, maybe 4 meets in a year, right? So like just this year, for example, we tapered for our midseason meet. We did not taper for SEC championships. We tapered for NCAAs, tapered for Olympic trials, and then the Olympics. So you've got 4 meets right there. And that's the calendar that you're really working with for
mm.
this kind of a cycle.
How does your cycles change with the different types of competitions that you've got coming up?
I think it's individual at this point for all the athletes who are representing different countries at the Olympics, but for our collegiate athletes, they know, okay, here's what we're working towards, and the rest of the year we're just training.
I mean, with having Olympic athletes, obviously, essentially their training cycle begins straight after the Olympics, so you've got 4 years to prep. How much of that is more like a year to year to year than looking at the next Olympics for you?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I came to Florida in so 2019, and then obviously Tokyo got pushed back, so 2021, and now this was like a shorter cycle with multiple world championships in between. There are things that I did prior to this Olympic cycle that I kind of removed. For example, I use boxing for conditioning and hand-eye
Mm,
coordination, great for shoulder conditioning. But that's something that I didn't introduce just from a shoulder health standpoint for people who maybe don't have that kind of athleticism on land. So I know that's something everyone's really excited to do this fall,
mm,
without so much pressure on not just what we do in the weight room, but really our coaching staffs. I think obviously what we do is important, but I always think like how much of an impact am I really having on performance given the amount of time that I've had to spend with them, considering all of the past history of training that they've put in to get to this point. So I feel like what we do is just one really small piece of the puzzle, and if you can get the piece to fit right, I mean, you're in a really good spot. But it doesn't make it any easier because every year you're trying to just get better by milliseconds.